divestment disaster!
Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spellbound, a darker shade of black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer. Take a trip into the macabre world of goth modeling in the new millennium in this spooktacular Spinsterella story. Pick up your copy of Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. Jodie Turner-Smith wants to highlight the impact of black mothers on biracial children in her letter to her ex-husband, Joshua Jackson. Now, Jodie Turner-Smith and Joshua Jackson have been going through some divorce trauma as related to the divestment disaster their whole relationship has deteriorated in as they filed for divorce. And now that they are finalizing their divorce, Joshua Jackson is agreeing to pay $2,787 in monthly child support payments and a lump sum of money to Jodie Turner-Smith instead of spousal support, and they're still having issues as related to disagreements regarding how their 4-year-old biracial daughter Juno will be raised. Now, as Jodie Turner-Smith has had her disagreements with her white ex-husband, Joshua Jackson, as related to the way their biracial daughter will be raised, she has decided to write a letter to her ex-husband in an effort to try to explain to him how a black mother has an impact on a biracial child. Now, the great irony here with Jodie Turner-Smith writing this letter to her white husband, Joshua Jackson, to explain the impact a black mother has on a biracial children is that she can't see how deep the influence white supremacy has on her own black female mind. Because for a black woman to go out here and write a letter to her white ex-husband to tell him about the impact of a black mother on a biracial child shows how deeply influenced she is by white supremacy as related to her perception of self and her blackness. And it shows how she's basically out here unaware of how spellbound she is in looking to fit herself into a black box that's acceptable to white people as related to raising her own child, because she's basically sitting here hoping to get the validation and approval of this white man who basically has rejected her. And as she's on this quest to continue getting this white validation and approval, she's trying to convince this white man of her value as a black mother and trying to continue to try to show that she has value in this relationship, when in actuality she's showing how low her self-esteem is as a black woman. Now, in my novel Spellbound, I have a character, Matilda Crowley, who is the daughter of a white man and a black mother, and she basically understood the impact of her black mother throughout the stories of the Spinsterella series. And when it came down to the character of Muriel Crowley, she didn't have to convince her husband Jason of her impact as a black mother. No, she was secure in herself as related to her own blackness and awareness of blackness, that she didn't have to go out here and try to convince this white man of her impact on her black child. No, she sat there and knew how black she was and went out here and taught that black culture to her daughter Matilda and her other 2 children, and they knew how black they were. Even if they came from a white father, they understood that in this system of white supremacy, they would be seen as black. Unfortunately, when it came down to Jodie Turner-Smith, what she wants to do is she wants to try to convince this guy, Joshua Jackson, of her value as a black woman, because she doesn't see any value in being black. So she thinks if she writes this letter, she can convince Joshua Jackson of her value as being black, and still having an impact in the life of their biracial child. But it's not really the biracial child she's trying to have the impact on. No, what she wants to have impact on is this white man, because what she wants to do is continue maintaining this relationship with this white man who basically is showing how he wants absolutely nothing to do with her. And that was shown in this man's actions, where he basically didn't even want contact with this woman for over a year after he announced he was divorcing her, and wasn't even considering paying child support for that child until the divorce was finalized. And now he's being ordered to pay $2,000 and $2,700 a month in child support to the child, paid her a lump sum settlement. And when I look at this guy, Joshua Jackson's actions, he's basically saying he's basically done with Jodie Turner Smith. But what she wants to do is try to show she has value by writing this letter. Now, I've read this letter, and this letter is nothing more than word salad, in an effort to try to get this man to see her value. But this man, again, basically, if he didn't see your value when he was involved with you from minute one, no amount of letters are going to convince him, because he was sitting there right in front of you, face to face, standing right in front of you, face to face, and he basically could have seen your impact as a black woman and understood your impact on your biracial child when he was involved with you in the first place. Now, again, when there is a healthy interracial relationship between a white man and a black woman, usually that white man knows that in this system of white supremacy, his biracial children are going to be seen as black in society. And he knows that since his children are going to be seen as black in society, he's not going to deny that mother's culture and that heritage, because he knows that that black woman is going to be the first teacher of that child, and the culture that child is going to learn, depending on where they live, is going to be black culture. And they're going to understand that impact because they understand part of that child is black, and that's what they're going to accept as related to that situation. Now, some of these black women, sometimes what they want to do in a lot of cases is they want to confuse the child as related to their culture, because what they want to do is, again, get away from ghetto culture, and because they believe it's black, and they want to get away from black culture. And because they want to get away from black culture as part of their efforts to get involved with this white man based on the color of his skin and not the content of his character, what happens with these black women is that they look to get away from their black culture, and that's why they have no impact on their children, because as they're teaching their children a dysfunctional culture of self-hatred that they basically have learned, because what they want to do is put distance between themselves and black culture. What these black women do is they go out here and look to teach the child the whole spellbound mindset of looking to fit themselves into a black box that's acceptable to white people. And as they look to fit them into that black box, they try to deny their black culture. And that's how that black mother, again, has a negative impact on their child and puts them on a tragic paradigm of possibly heading down a road of becoming what many racists created was the narrative of the tragic mulatto. Now, when it comes down to these black mothers, again, they basically don't understand the impact of white supremacy on the black female mind, because when it comes down to white supremacy, it has an influence on the black female mind from birth. And oftentimes when you have a black mother who basically doesn't understand white supremacy's whole impact on the black female mind, they basically start teaching their kids a culture of white acceptance and white approval, and that leads to that child winding up becoming confused when they're biracial, and instead of them accepting that they are black in the system of white supremacy, they start thinking that they have to be white and they can try to fit into white society, and this creates a complex of low self-esteem and low self-worth that is passed on from the mother to the child. And that's possibly what's happening here with Jodie Turner Smith, based on the word salad she wrote in that letter, she's basically teaching her child a whole culture of confusion. Because when you have to go out here and let a white man know the impact of a black mother on biracial children, it really shows she doesn't have a good sense of awareness regarding her blackness, and her whole idea of black is based on fitting into white society. And that's basically what's happened here with Jodie Turner Smith. Her whole idea of black is based on fitting into white and seeking white acceptance, and she wants to try to again get that validation and approval from this white man in this letter that she should have been not looking for, but had security in herself. Because when you're secure in your blackness, again, you don't have to explain the impact of a black mother on your biracial child. No, you teach your child black pride and teach them that they are black, and also teach them about the impact of white supremacy on the black mind. Because when you are aware of your blackness, again, you understand your impact, and in many cases, if you are a self-aware sister and you're out here, you basically love yourself to the point where you want a man who is reflected of you when he is black. However, there are cases where there are black women who do get involved with white men. And again, as they get involved with those white men in a healthy interracial relationship, what they do is, again, they teach their children about being black, and again, don't have to explain this to the white man. The white man already understands. Again, he understands that as a part of the system of being in the system of white supremacy, the best thing for his child to let them know again about being black, so that they don't have to sit there and deal with anti-black racism being directly presented to them, and again be shocked that they're experiencing this. No, the child will already know, yeah, I'm black, and again, I know that the whole thing is that I'm going to be seen as black. I have to accept this as part of me. But the whole thing with Jodie Turner Smith is that she wants that white acceptance. She wants it more than life itself. And again, has to go out here and make this letter as related to her white husband. Has to make this letter because the letter is about continuing to seek his validation, seeking his acceptance, seeking his approval as related to their parenting. And again, he's basically out here upset about the school that she's sending her daughter to, and basically, again, that's part of the drama they're having. But the whole thing is that what's happening here with Joshua Jackson is that he basically wants to cut ties with this Jodie Turner Smith. He wants to charge her to the game based on what I observe as related to his actions. What Joshua Jackson wants to do is just go out here, pay her to a lump sum to just get her out of his face, go out here, pay this child support, and then go back to the system of white supremacy, because he saw being married to this black woman as not being beneficial to him. Now that he's gone out here and in Hollywood, which is a part of the media arm of white supremacy, he's seeing that, hey, if I go out here and marry this black woman, they're not going to go out here and allow him to continue working, because they're going to see him as being somebody who's subversive. And that's what he did. He was thinking, about the rhetoric from the leftists out there who talk about inclusion and diversity. And basically what he's seeing is that whole media arm of white supremacy on the left, if you go out here and get involved with black women, they have a system of punishing a white man. And under those unwritten social rules, what they do is go out here and deny you access to jobs and job opportunities or abilities to move up. And that's possibly why he decided to get away from Jodie Turner Smith and continue to want to reap the benefits of the system of white supremacy rather than deal with the unwritten oppression that they impose on white men. And Jodie Turner Smith now is still scratching her head, trying to figure out where everything went wrong. But where everything went wrong with her is that she thought she could go out here and get with this white man, thought that this white man would go out here and take her to happily ever after, but this white man couldn't take her to happily ever after in the system of white supremacy, where the only thing many white males want to do is go out here and get their taste of the chocolates waste from the special place. And basically, after they've gotten their taste of chocolate and gotten a little chocolate on their Vienna sausage, what they want to do is basically move on with their whole lives. And Jodie Turner-Smith thought, oh, I'll get with Joshua Jackson. I'll be with this white man. He'll take me to happily ever after. I'll get naked on the balcony before the Golden Globes. Thought that that was going to be a display that was going to present her in a positive light, but she was actually being presented in a light where this man didn't see her as a person. He basically saw her as property, and as he started networking with these other white men, they basically let him know about the unwritten rules of white supremacy, and that's why he basically wanted to end his marriage and looked to move on. He looked to move on because what he wanted to do was say, hey, I got my taste of chocolate. I got a little chocolate on the Vienna sausage. I got my taste of the chocolate space. Again, he's basically good as related to things. He's possibly going on to Lupita Nyong'o to get another taste of chocolate, but this time he's not, again, looking to marry these women. He's just looking to have his fun with the white women, because that's the unwritten rule of white supremacy since the days of the antebellum South. And this woman is still trying to wonder how she's going to make things work, but there's only one way this is going to work in white supremacy. She's basically been left in the lurch with this whole situation. This guy wants to keep his distance as related to things the way white men usually do in these interracial situations. After they've had their fun, they want to, again, put distance between themselves because they want to move up in the white social ladder, and any sort of reference to their past could lead to them reaping a divestment disaster, but they leave that to the black woman like Jodie Turner-Smith, who's completely delusional. Now, Jodie Turner-Smith is still completely delusional, thinking she's going to be in a situation where she thinks she can covertly get back to happily ever after. She's thinking that if she can work things out and convince him of her value as a black woman, she can get back to that happily ever after. But sadly, what she doesn't see is that after she's gotten the mixed child and gotten with the white man, there is no happily ever after. There's new moving into white society. No, what the whole thing is with the spellbound black person. Again, they don't see how they don't fit into the system of white supremacy, and again, they don't see how they don't fit in because they're trying to deny their blackness. No, trying to deny their blackness as related to things. That's what Jodie Turner-Smith is trying to do, trying to say, oh, there's an impact of black mothers on biracial children, and trying to convince, again, this white man. You can't convince a white man who understands how white supremacy works. Again, in the system of white supremacy, the white man basically understands that he's white, and that's the thing that gives him value in society. His impact, again, is he's only concerned with his impact as a white man. But this woman, again, deifies and worships white men. Again, was deifying and worshiping this white man, giving this white man power, because that's what writing this letter was all about. Giving this white man power, giving him power in the relationship, because, again, a black mother who knows who she is ain't sitting up here trying to write no white man no letter, trying to convince him of things she already talked about with this white man. No, that black woman already knows, I gotta teach my child, again, about this world and teach them about the world of being black, because that's the culture I come from. This is why I say, again, a lot of biracial people, they'll sit there and say, oh, I'm not black, I'm biracial. No, in the system of white supremacy, you are considered to be black, and you're considered to be black because your mother was your first teacher, and your mother's culture is black, so that's why they considered biracial black people from a black mother to be black. That's why they consider them to be black. And again, the only interracial relationships that happened before the civil rights movement were these type of relationships because a black man could be penalized for getting involved with a white woman or a non-black woman in a lot of cases. So a lot of times, again, when it came down to biracial black children, they knew that they were black. But in the case of some of these black mothers, again, like Jodie Turner Smith, again, they don't really understand the impact of white supremacy on the black female mind as related to love. I go in depth on this in another book I wrote called Isis Dark Incubus, where Isis deals with the impact of white supremacy as related to her perception of relationships and her fear of loving a black man. And when it comes down to a lot of black women, they don't understand how insidious white supremacy is on the black female mind and the perception of self. They don't understand how deeply, insidiously this is on the black female mind. Again, our whole perception of self, again, is influenced heavily by white supremacy unless God opens our eyes to see who we really are in Christ as sons and daughters of God. And the system of white supremacy, again, has a deep influence and, again, will have you thinking you have to explain your impact on your biracial child. Again, this is how deeply insidiously this is on the black female mind. And Jodie Turner Smith basically doesn't see how she's giving more power to this white man because she's completely spellbound, like I talk about in my novel Spellbound, about how a lot of black people, again, look to fit themselves into these black boxes to be accepted by white people and will sacrifice their intangibles of character, like their dignity, their self-respect, and basically do damage to their children, do damage to their children's whole mental perception of self, because their mental perception of self is completely damaged because, again, a secure black woman ain't got to explain it, she's just gonna teach it. And again, she's gonna teach it in an ideal situation with a black man. But when it comes down to these black women who go out here and swirl and divest, they have a delusion of getting to happily ever after with this white man. And when they have to deal with the reality of life, that this white man really wasn't into them the way that they thought, this is where everything that was happily ever after turns into a divestment disaster. Now, if you want to learn more about how a healthy biracial relationship works, you can pick up the stories of Matilda Crowley in the Spinsterella series, and in the books of the Spinsterella series, I show you how the daughter of a white man and a black woman raised 3 biracial children as related to their black identity in Harlem's Sugar Hill, and I show how all 3 of those children grow up to become healthy, functional adults in the Spinsterella books with Matilda Crowley as she's taking a journey in the goth subculture as a black woman. And you can pick up Matilda's story from her teen years in Spellbound, where she learns about the Spellbound mindset and learns to become a secure black woman, and it's related to her own identity. You can find that book, Spellbound, and then Matilda's journeys as related to the goth scene as she becomes a young adult in legendary Mad Matilda. And you can follow that up with Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer, where I show Matilda as an actualized black woman in the goth scene. And I also have the final book, Spinsterella, where Matilda finds her love with the quiet man. And again, you can get all 4 of those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also get all 4 of those books at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And those books will give you some perspective on how a black mother has an impact on her biracial children in a healthy relationship with a white father who's actively involved with her children, and show you how this mother, again, because she had a good sense of self-esteem and self-awareness before she got involved with this white man, because she didn't get involved with him on dysfunctional terms, she got involved with him on healthy terms. And basically, this is what Jodie Turner Smith doesn't understand about relationships, and that's why she's out here seeking this white man, so validation and approval, instead of going out here and just showing her impact by just being herself. And if you want to see me make more videos taking celebrities to the barbecue, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteemed Season of the Witch Girl. The aspiring angel takes on a wicked teenage witch in this action-packed, all-new Esteemed series adventure. Pick up your copy of the Steam Season of the Witch Girl in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, A Thorn in My Side. The man who rules the world takes on an agent from the CIA from the Black Boule in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' A Thorn in My Side in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.